The Mall of America is adding a new high-tech layer of security to help keep shoppers safe. The Minnesota Mega Mall will begin using facial recognition technology after a series of recent gun-related incidents. Now, security teams have installed cameras with the ability to map faces and detect potential threats. It's the same software that is already being widely used in airports, arenas, and other public spaces. So I want to bring in the founder and executive director of the National Security Institute, Jamil Jaffer, for more on this. Jamil, tell me more about how the software works and what happens to the data once it's collected.
Sure. Well, Anne-Marie, the way this software works is that it scans the crowd, tries to identify, one, what is a face, what's not a face, and then second, is that face somebody of interest to the Mall of the American security? Is it somebody that's had issues there at the mall before, somebody who's got a warrant out for their arrest or the like? And once it's done that, it then passes it on to a human for 3 layers of review. Now, no data is stored if there's no identification. However, if a person of interest is identified, then mall security reviews it through 3 layers of human review. And then ultimately, if there's a need, sends an officer down to have a conversation with that person and see what's going on there.
So, when we started talking about facial recognition being used for security purposes, there was a lot of talk about whether or not there was biases sort of baked into the software, that the programming often misidentified visible minorities. I mean, should that be a concern?
Well, absolutely. There's this question of bias in algorithms and the like. It's a lot of things that we've talked about recently with the AI revolution that we've seen just in the last year and a half. And so this is an issue that's well understood in the technology space. And what it requires software manufacturers and investors in the software to invest and bake in trust, safety, and security into the software they're deploying. And that's why it's so important that as an investor or as a company building the software, if you want broad adoption, if you want success in the marketing environment, you've got to bake that capability in. You've got to be testing your algorithms regularly, subjecting to the kind of human review that we've talked about, both in practice as you're developing that tool and as it's out deployed, as we're seeing here is the case with the Mall of the Americas.
Leading into the story, we talked about, a few gun-related incidents, but this sort of technology is only really going to be able to identify someone's face who's already in the system. If someone shows up, with a gun and they've got some, bad ideas, that's going to take a different type of security work to identify the problem.
No, that's exactly right, Anne-Marie. You're not going to be able to solve all the problems here with facial recognition and facial identification. You're going to need also identification of weaponry and the like, and trying to assess what a person is doing. Now, that's not the kind of thing software can do well. That's the kind of thing you need human security guards for. So this is not going to solve all the problems that mall security may have. But what it does do, as we do at the border, as we do at the airports, is it uses the technology to speed things up, solve problems faster. And if you can believe it, if it works well, and you've invested in the trust, safety, and security up front, it can be a very efficient technology to solve some of these problems while addressing some of the concerns, as you've raised, Anne-Marie, of bias and the like, and as many other people have raised as well.
All right, Jamil, always great talking to you. Thank you.